This is another episode of the Assignment of Benefits podcast. This will be a mini podcast recording where we interview insurtech founders, insurtech executives, insurance company folks that are doing stuff that's interesting in the insurance ecosystem. And today I'm talking to quite an interesting fellow, Clifford Cohen. Welcome. And I want to start off right away. We start all of these with who are you and what do you do?
Who am I? I am a dad, and
Number one.
I am very keen on life and exploring it in every possible way I can. I maintain my curiosity. This is who I am, and I never think I know everything. I'm constantly learning stuff. That's who I am.
What do you do? What do you do?
For a living, I would say I try as much as I can to be a thought leader. My title, my official title is Business Development Director. That sounds very salesy. And whilst my job might be to literally just sell our solutions and services, I really think it's more about educating people about what we do and how we do it and all the results of that. So it really is more about education, because you can't force a fit where it doesn't work. So it's not really a sale as such. It's
I like that.
whether we're maintaining a position or not.
Okay. So next question is who is we? Who are you business development leader for?
The name of the company is Epoq, and originally it's a UK based company and it still has a strong base there. But here's a fun fact. Epoq is the pioneer of legal technology. So Epoq started at minimum 27 years ago. Shall I give you a rundown quickly?
Yeah. And if you can, this is an insurance based podcast. So folks aren't like, oh, wait, in the legal business now, go back 27 years and then fast forward to that point where you tie it together with insurance.
27 years ago, Epoq decided that there's a better way to deliver legal services. So they looked at delivering legal services with technology to make it affordable, accessible for the masses, to make law easy. And they were successful at doing that and started with the CD-ROM. Right from the very beginning, they realized that they needed a distribution partner, and insurance fits that bill really well. And there's a great alignment with legal services and insurance, as in P&C and life. People want to do a will. You might be in business, so you're a contractor, what have you. You're a landlord. You need agreements. You need wills. You need documents. Okay. So there was a great alignment, and right from the very first moment, you could say, Epoq partnered with insurance companies to support policyholders. Okay, so now in the UK, Allianz, who Epoq has been working with for probably about 20 plus years, is still a client. Okay, on personal lines and commercial lines, Epoq is providing these services as a value add for Allianz to support their policyholders. That's in the UK. I can talk about what we're doing in the US.
Let's do that.
Okay. So do you want to go life, P&C across the board?
What's interesting is the life side seems fairly straightforward, right? Like you're buying life insurance. So ultimately there's a set of decisions someone's making that I want to take care of someone, and I can see the wills and other aspect. The P&C one, the connection's a little bit less obvious. So I think what would be interesting is one is why the US, probably size, but why the US? But secondarily, why P&C?
Yeah, definitely. The great American dream still exists in people's minds. Okay. I think companies that are living outside of the States look at the States as, oh, wow, this is going to be we're going to do really well here. It's stuffed to the gills with so many people, but it's not that easy. The American dream is there, but you've got to really be clever and work at it. And it's not just about marketing, it's about strategizing, and especially in insurance is about compliance, right? So yeah, you could say estate planning and trusts easily fit in with life insurance type services. But it still wasn't that easy, to be honest, to break in as a newcomer. You got a bunch of Brits. What do they know? Even if I have lived here on the West Coast for 33 years, it doesn't.
So I'm curious though. I think there's a lesson here for a lot of the folks that are going to be listening to this around what were some of the objections. You said it was not easy, and I imagine it would not be. I imagine both from the life and the P&C side, insurance companies get stuck in their ways around certain things. What do you think were the, we'll call it tips or tricks that you can give to the audience around how do you break through and get access to a market?
Right.
Because I think a lot of the audience that are going to be listening to this might fit into one of those categories where they're a newcomer in the space and are just like, this is impossible. How do you make progress when you're a newcomer? What did you do?
It's all tied to history, really. So what happened when we first came in is very different to what's going on now today. When we first came in here in this incarnation about 11 years ago, the idea of doing things online, like legal documents or anything for that matter, was a little bit unusual, even if we were doing this kind of work in the UK, because to make this part of the conversation really quick, COVID changed that. Okay. Everyone decided I can't go anywhere. So now I'm going to have to work from home and I'm go online and we'll do Zoom meetings now. But when we came in, that wasn't fast and furious. And whenever we said, yeah, you can create a document purely online through a self-guided process back then.
A legal document.
Back then they jumped to, oh, that's a legal expense plan. That's with lawyers and all that is very expensive. I'm going, no, our technology allows you to do this purely digitally. And it was not accepted that well because no one was really used to it back then. And then COVID hit. See what I mean? It's like a bit historic. And then COVID hit. And then a year or two later, people were going, oh yeah, wow. Yeah, we can do this. But that's besides the point. When you're a new idea, and specifically if your listeners are all involved in insurance, then they know that everything takes a long time to manifest. Ideas take forever to circulate in a carrier, and it's a very long process, and it's complicated, tied up with compliance issues, and it really is going down a rabbit hole. It really is when you've got a new concept that you're breaking into an insurance carrier with. And yes, the wills and estate plan for life insurance type products might be an easier stretch. And now I think the landscape is getting quite noisy with legal tech as such. But I'm going to address your P&C side. And again, it's whether it's a fit, but we have quite a unique model in that, first of all, if your personal lines, okay, there is a fit with wills, estate planning, trusts. You've got your house, this is your expense. This is your big expense. And you want to make sure that all your ducks are in a row. So you do want to take care of your estate plan and trust. But then you've got things like, okay, I'm selling a car. I've got a complaint letter. I'm hiring a roofing contractor. There's all kinds of consumer services that consumers go to lawyers for, right? So there is a need for the consumer side, the personal line side. But then when we get into farm and commercial lines, there's absolute need for it. You're renting a piece of equipment to your neighbor, all right? And you might be doing it on a handshake, but the equipment might be worth $50,000, $100,000, whatever. right? Amazing. You can just go online and in a few minutes, you've got this solid agreement locked up. You've customized this agreement online and the language is drafted by an attorney. It's an expert system that's relatable to artificial intelligence, and it's got everything in it you need to transfer risk. So you're having an event on your farm, you want to hold harmless agreement. You're a contractor hiring a subcontractor, you're a
So interesting.
landlord creating a lease or snow blowing or whatever it is, all the activities that that you want to ensure that everything is locked up. And when you start thinking deeper, you start thinking when you go out there and start and begin a new venture, or you're in an existing venture, but you're doing a deal with someone else, right? What do you want to do first? You want an agreement. Legal is the first line of defense, and it's the proactive part that can align with insurance, because insurance is typically reactive. Something goes wrong, let's cover. But you want to be proactive as a carrier, and you want to transfer risk. And that's conceivably what a legal document can do for your policyholders.
Yeah. So, there are times when I do these kinds of conversations where I go into the interview, not necessarily truly understanding the value proposition. I get a lot from these interviews. And then all of a sudden you can see my eyes open up. I hope you
Right.
saw that just now, because all of a sudden I realized, wow, you're so right. I downplayed what this might mean. So the value proposition, the way that I understand it, Clifford, is like you really have two main stakeholders. One is your carrier partners, but
Yeah.
their customers, right? So
Right.
this is your technology product is a product that attaches to a homeowner's policy, a life insurance policy, a commercial policy, a
Yeah.
farm policy. And essentially what you're saying is on the fly, like these folks can get that kind of legal assistance. And it sounds like you're using AI technology. This is not necessarily right. Hey, we're going to connect you with a lawyer. These are some things that you can do on your own. And before we even started recording, you told me about a success story.
Yeah.
I think that success story, I think really encapsulates what your value proposition, and can you repeat it for the audience?
Right. I can. But I'm going to correct you a little bit, because
Okay.
there's a difference between an expert system and artificial intelligence. And an expert system is relatable. I like to say it's the mother of AI. It's been around for years, but it's programmable. You're not relying on the chance of going off the guardrails. We've programmed lawyer logic into all the documents, so there's no way that there can be mistakes made. It truly is a customizable process, and there's a deep and rich platform that's sitting behind that. So the technology is superior, and it's really hard to beat when you start digging in deeper, but you need that. And there's an audit trail to everything. You can go back to the very first key press, but it's not relying on AI. It's deeper than that. It's an expert system. And there was something else, but hopefully I've made that point clear, because it really is an important point. You can't rely on AI. And we also have other services attached to that. So we're known in the trade as a bolt-on, a value add. A bolt-on, very similar to equipment breakdown, you could say, but because a good part of our services are digital, you're not waiting for a claim to use them. So they're there, day one, immediate use.
Yeah.
Value proposition. It's a value and use model.
Yeah.
It's very
And
different.
which is so coincidental because I just wrote a blog article yesterday in our sales and marketing Sunday newsletter around the need for insurance carriers to deliver value beyond the
Right.
insurance policy.
Exactly.
And I gave some examples, and this would be another one
Yeah.
that I really love, where you're essentially creating it. I would classify it as a risk management bolt on. So
Good.
It's the ability
Yeah,
for the stakeholder, the policyholder, to
mhm,
reduce risk that's not
right.
specifically tied to the insurance transaction. So it's a value add to the insurance policy, but they don't have to use the insurance policy to get that thing. Like you said, you don't need a claim. And I think that's incredibly valuable to, I think, the industry itself. So, hey, for those of you that are like MGAs or carriers out there, these are the things that I think begin to differentiate you from other carriers and MGAs is how can you create value beyond your insurance policy? This sounds like a really useful value add proposition for and a differentiator for for the typical insurance product.
Yep. No, you're right. You got it. And you hit the nail on the head as well. We are seen as a risk management tool. And then to add to the core service that I've described, you can go online and you can customize a legal document, truly customize. We have now added services where you can ask a legal question. I won't go into the process, but it's very streamlined. You can ask a legal question from an attorney. You can get a document reviewed by an attorney as part of the platform services. And we also have mediation coverage now, which is the insurance part of our service.
Yeah.
So when you package all that up, you've got this full comprehensive service and you are protecting the policyholder now from anything that can happen really legally.
It are you also selling this or marketing this as a standalone product? Do they
No,
have to get it from an insurance product?
yeah, we've always been the brand behind the brand. Well, that's what we're known for. We white label, we've got affiliates, we brand affiliate sites, we brand. We've always supported insurance. And we're also into benefits as well. We're doing a certain amount of benefits.
So,
Mainly P&C life and benefits.
is it possible to name some of the US? You mentioned Allianz in Europe. Can you
Sure.
mention some of the US partners, both on the
Yeah, I
P&C
mean,
side and on the life side?
yeah, in life, very large carriers such as Mutual of Omaha, Colonial Life, if the fraternal market, Foresters Financial, which are very large, and they're in 3 different countries. Their members are in the UK, Canada, and the States. They have something like 1 million members or something like that. And then New York Life, and then we go down to, if we're talking PMC, to date, we've been looking at the mutual market, mutual carrier
Yep.
space. So we're supporting Penn National, Donegal, Utica First, and several other smaller mutuals. So
Okay.
we're in
So,
some large mutuals.
okay. Amazing transition. Let's get back to that success story that we talked about, that
Yeah, sure.
we described. Can you explain, talk about that story where this is literally a stakeholder and policyholder success story
Right.
at the same time?
By the way, adding to the stakeholder, as in the carrier and the policyholder, there's the agent as well. They actually play a crucial role. They use the service, or they can use the service to enhance their trusted advisor status. When they're going out to promote a carrier, they can say, we have this great new service that supports you, does all your legal work. And they are quite important. So you should never forget the agents there, Nick.
I try not to. Coincidentally, again, in that blog article yesterday where I talked about delivering value outside of the policy, I did specifically mention agents and brokers as
Right.
as a being part of that key stakeholder status because for the most part in the United States, most insurance is sold through brokers and agents. So as carriers think of who are their stakeholders, everyone, I think, knee-jerk reaction, everyone drives right to the policyholder. There's no policyholder if there's no agent or broker for most carriers in the US. So they are indeed a stakeholder. But if you can, it's the CEO of the carrier reached out to you. Why?
Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you, this happened more than once, actually. Okay. The CEO of a carrier, who obviously will remain unmentioned, unnamed, called us in a hurry, and he said, we're traveling, and they got a daughter. We're traveling, and my wife just realized that we don't have a will and we need to get a will. Can you help us? And so I said, yeah, sure. So we sent this guy a link to our service and bam, he produced his will. And that happened twice, actually.
Not the same person.
Not the same person.
Okay. Because if it was the same person, I think that CEO is like a rock climber or a bungee
Right.
jumper or something. And he's deciding, hey, before I
Right.
jump off this mountain, I probably should update my will or even make one to start. So that's a
Yeah.
great success story. I'm going to encourage everyone that's listening to this, especially carriers or MGAs, if you're in the underwriting side, like this is a differentiator. Look into Epoch. But I want to finish this segment, Clifford, by going into a little bit about who you are. You described yourself at the beginning as well, but I found out something really neat about you. So you have this passion and you're actually sitting in your passion right now because you gave me a 360-degree view of your office where these things exist around you. Let's finish this episode around who you are, around this passion you have for vehicles. Talk about
Sure.
it.
Yeah. Motorcycles and cars. It, very briefly, it started with motorcycles. I remember it very clearly, and it wasn't a childish reaction. I was sitting actually in what do you call it? A pushchair. I can't remember what you call that in America. The kid's in the chair and you're walking on. I was sitting, I was with my mother, I was sitting on the street and I saw this. Actually, it was a white Triumph motorcycle ridden by a policeman. And I was fascinated by this bike and it stopped. And I knew that I've got to get a motorcycle when I grow up. And I knew it was a mature reaction because I started saving money there. Really, everything I did was all about buying a motorcycle. And obviously, we're looking at one of my motorcycles.
What kind of bike is this?
Yeah, it's a 1954 Vincent. The model is a Comet. It's actually the smaller one. It's the cheaper one, which is still bloody expensive.
I've never heard of Vincent.
Right. Well, in bikes, I'm Italian and British. Basically,
Okay.
my bikes are Italian and British. I've had German, but nothing wrong with that. But that's where I've ended up. And this is a 1954 Vincent. They had twins and they had singles. That's a single. So the guys with twins laugh at me and say I haven't quite completed my bike yet. The twins are with super bikes. They were really fast. They still are. They keep up with today's traffic really well. They can go fast in today's traffic. It's amazing technology what the Vincent built anyway. But I had to be a little bit more realistic. A good Black Shadow Vincent can cost in excess of $100,000. Give you an idea. That's a Comet. That's the 500. The Black Shadow is the twin. I just couldn't see spending that money, but it's exactly the same bike, a smaller engine. That red bike there is an Italian bike. It's actually, they made something like 150 of them, something like that. It's basically a race prep bike. It's an Italian bike, Envy Augusta.
What year?
That's a 1954 as well, actually. And I ride that in timed rallies. It's called the Motor Giro. It's got a very fast motor for what it is. It's a 175cc, but there are not many of those around. You can see by the shape of the tank, it's quite unique.
What's the value of that bike?
I don't know, about 17,000 maybe. Something.
Okay.
I'm quite humble, so don't get me wrong here. I am humble. When I first came to North America, it was actually Canada. I'm Canadian, believe it or not. And I lived there for 10 years. My first bike I bought there to get around, I spent $500 on or something like that. I've still got it. It's not worth much. It's probably worth about $5,000, but it means a lot to me. So I've got a little Italian bike. I just want to make a point, make sure you guys don't think whoa, he's a big spender. The little Italian bike is probably worth about $5,000. It's not so much the value for me, but it's what they are. And these bikes happen to be quite expensive.
So you started off with motorcycles, but then we're going to finish this particular episode with vehicles.
Sure.
This is actually an award-winning vehicle. So
Correct.
describe this.
Heck yeah. Bikes and cars, I can't help it. Look, guys, I'm a petrol head. I can't help it. The family car is a Prius, okay? All right. But it's not like I ride these or drive these every day. But I am a petrol head. I like that engine. But this car is really fascinating. This is a very rare car. And again, they're only about 100 and I think 181, and I'm not making that up. 181 were made. It's a French car. It's revolutionary. It's built by a guy called René Bonnet. I don't know how much time we have on this because his story is really interesting. He designed cars for Le Mans, and he's obviously French. He designed cars for Le Mans with a partner. They split. That's a whole other story. They were really successful. They won races. He split and he decided he could design a car with a mid-engine and get it ready for road production. A sports car, but built for the road, built for the public. That's what we're looking at right now. It's a René Bonnet D-Jet 2. It's 1964. He put a deal together with Renault, and what we're looking at right now is the world's first mid-engine road production car in the world. He beat everyone to it. This little French designer, and if you saw a side shot, you'd see it's aerodynamic. Everything about it is just really, the technology about it is very advanced. The chassis is a space frame, the suspension, the engine is a Gordini engine. It's just 1149 cc's, but it flies because of the shape of the car, and it weighs 1,200 pounds. And the gearbox in it is a race gearbox, and everything about it is just sort of built for the track, but it's a road car.
So mid-engine, meaning that the engine sits in the middle of the
Correct.
vehicle. So pretty much close to underneath the driver.
Well, behind, it's literally behind me. The engine's right there behind me. It gets quite hot. And that's what they started using in the races. They went from front engine to rear, and they decided mid-engine for a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful story, Clifford. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing a little bit about you and sharing a little bit about Epoq. I will put all of the information to connect to Clifford and Epoq in the show notes. But Clifford, for my audience and myself, thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I really enjoyed talking. So thanks, Nick.
You got it. Thank you.